Welcome to the Ultimate Tenpai Dragon Guide for Master Duel. I'll be showcasing must-know combos, tips, and tricks. Now, let's begin. We're going to start off with the famous 37,000 damage combo. The opponent has 50,000 life points here, so keep track of that. And all we need to perform this combo is a Sangan summoning field spell, plus any other card to discard. Now, why is this field spell so good? During your main phase 1, not your opponent's main phase and not your main phase 2, your Fire Dragon monsters are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. And it's Fire Dragon monsters you control. The other effect with this is you could add a Tenpai Dragon from your deck to your hand, and then you have to discard a card. So let's get to it. Now, the Sangan summoning will protect you from Ash Blossom, Imperm, Gamma, and Veiler as long as your monster is on the field and you are in main phase 1. So activate the Sangan summoning, search our deck. We're going to be searching for a Tenpai Dragon Pydra. Pydra on summon, activate, completely unaffected from an Imperm or Veiler or Ash here as we search for a Kaimin. Now, Kaimin is a quick effect. It can be used in your battle phase or during your opponent's turn. If used during your battle phase, you could special summon the monster you search. So we're going to activate the Kaimin within the main phase, searching for our Chundra. Now, Chundra is the glue of this deck. It is the level 4 tuner where everything else is a non-tuner. Now, while you control a Fire Dragon, the Chundra could special summon. Come forth, special summon. This is where you're vulnerable to something like a Gamma, but once it hits the field, you are safe. Now, to battle we go. At the start of the damage step, we are activating. So we could special summon a level 4 or lower Fire Dragon from the deck. Now, because it's in the damage step, you cannot use Ash Blossom on this effect. So come forth and summon from the deck. We're going to summon a Fadra. Now, if the Chundra were to summon a Pydra, the on-summon effect of Pydra to search your deck would also not be ashable. It would also activate in the damage step. So let's resolve that attack. Attack 1, attack 2, and then attack 3. Now, we're going to use our main quick effects. All of the Tenpai Dragons, these main 3 that is, have the quick effect within the battle phase to activate and perform a synchro summon. And because it's a soft once per turn effect, that means if you have another copy of the Chundra or Pydra, it could also activate. Or the same card could leave the field, then come back onto the field and activate again. And because all of them are quick effects with the same effect, if they activate an impermanence here, when you activate to perform a synchro summon, you could just chain synchro activate with the other monster to dodge the negation. So this is where you would Chundra. If they imperm, you could then chain the Pydra to instead perform the synchro. So that's why an experienced player, they're not going to waste their negate here. So let's perform the synchro into the Bident Dragon. This card is absolutely insane. The Bident Dragon on synchro summon will target a Fire Dragon in your graveyard to special summon it, but then you're locked on a Dragon monsters only for this turn. So we'll focus on that effect first. Let's reborn from the graveyard. Come forth. We're going to grab a Pydra. We do not need the level 4 tuner anymore. The Bident Dragon's going to be able to reborn itself from the graveyard within this combo, and it is a level 7 tuner. So let's pair it up. The Bident on field is going to pair up with the level 3 non-tuner. That's 1 synchro. And then the Bident reborns from the graveyard for free. So we need another level 3 non-tuner. Well, we have 2. Let's attack with the 2600. Newly summoned Pydra attack. Let's activate Pydra again to synchro summon into the main boss monster. Holy moly. Ideally, if you have enough juice, you're going to summon this in main phase 1 while it will be protected by the Sangan summoning. And while in the battle phase, while this card's on the field, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects during the battle phase. And if they have any monster in defense, you could change it into attack position on synchro summon. And if you summon this during your opponent's turn, which is our main turn 1 combo to set up, your opponent must attack this card as it puts all of them into attack position. Absolutely insane. So nothing is activatable. Not the graveyard, the hand, the field. Now, it does not negate. So if they do have a continuous effect like the Fadra on their field, it will be protected from battle destruction. So the Fadra protects all your monsters from battle destruction. I think I didn't mention this. And then we have the Pydra, which also protects all of your monsters from battle damage. When you're unaffected from battle damage, that means cards like Nightmare Pain, the main card of a top tier deck Yubel, cannot reflect battle damage to you, even though you think it's a card effect that's reflecting the damage. No, the effect is to reflect battle damage, and you take 0 battle damage with the Pydra. Now, what is going on here? We have the other effect of Bident Dragon. It states that if 3 or more attacks have been declared this turn, you can, whenever you want, special summon from the graveyard to then non-target pop a back row card on either side of the field. That part is optional. We do not want to destroy our field spell here, but maybe we will later. So now we have another attack with the Bident Dragon, and the Fadra is now activatable. Either on its summon or at the start of the damage step, we could reborn a monster from the grave, and that's exactly what we're doing. So let's get swinging for 26, swing for 3000, swing again with the Pydra. Pydra, third time activating the Synchro Summon into a Trident Dragon. Oh my gosh, this card is nuts. Now, because you have all the quick effects to Synchro Summon, you can miss the timing on Trident Dragon. Never summon Trident Dragon on Chain Link 2. So if they imperm early and then you activate to Synchro Summon a Trident Dragon, they have successfully tricked you. Now, you do not want to get tricked because its very powerful effect is on Synchro Summon, you target 2 cards you control, destroy them, and then you gain 2 additional attacks. Now, what's crazy about that is if the Trident Dragon activates right now where the opponent cannot chain an impermanence and we wipe out our Transcendent Dragon, they can now activate something like an impermanence, right? That would negate the Trident Dragon, but it doesn't. You still have the additional attacks, even if you're negated after gaining the effect. So let's wipe out the Transcendent Dragon and take out the Sangan Summoning. Now, this is where it gets wild. The Sangan Summoning, when destroyed, target a dragon synchro you control, double its attack. So the Trident Dragon is a way to destroy this. The Transcendent Dragon, another way to destroy it. The Bident Dragon, a third way to destroy it. We even have a fourth way to destroy it, and that is through the Kui Belt. If you summon a Kui Belt, you could choose to destroy a card your opponent controls or your own field spell, and then you are going to gain that double attack boost onto the Trident Dragon. Now, what's really cool about the field spell is the Pydra not only searches the field spell, it could set it onto the field. So if you summon a Pydra during the battle phase, you could set the field spell onto your field during that battle phase and then destroy it while it's face down to trigger the effect to double the attack. Now, we're going to be using the Transcendent Dragon from the graveyard, same thing as Bident Dragon. 3 attacks have been declared, special summon from the graveyard, and we can non-target destroy 1 card on the field. That part is optional. Come forth and summon. 6k, 6k, another 6,000, 3k to the face. And just like that, we have dealt over 37,000 damage. Now, to make this deck even more disgusting and repulsive, everyone's hating this deck so much, it could play Dimension Shifter. Even though we had all those graveyard effects of reborning with the Bident Dragon, even summoning itself, the Bident Dragon, summoning itself, the Transcendent Dragon, and also reborning with the Phaedra, all those different ways to interact with the grave, and it does not matter. We have Dimension Shifter. We're going to activate this during the opponent's turn so that any card sent to the grave is banished instead. Let's do it. Dimension Shifter, everything is banished, and I'm going to show you an important play that I don't think they even have this card in the OCG yet. So we have our trusty Beaver Warrior. We're going to activate our Sangan Summoning, search our deck, discard the Beaver Warrior, and now the Pydra is going to be completely unaffected by card effects as we search for the Kaiman. Activate Kaiman, search our deck for the Chandra, and now this is where things are going to get a bit hairy here. We're going to special summon the Chandra. We are going to play Pretend. We're going to pretend that the opponent has an impermanence negating the Chandra. So if your Chandra is negated, it now can't summon a monster from the deck. Well, just put it in the graveyard and reborn it, right? Well, we're under Shifter. So if the Chandra gets negated and you have a negate for the Chandra here against the opponent having one, this would be a good time to use it before it special summons. Because when it activates at the start of the damage step, you then cannot chain your impermanence to the activation of the effect. So we're going to attack, pretend like we just got negated. So how do we have lethal damage if the Chandra is now negated? We should not have lethal, right? And this is why a lot of people did not want to play Shifter in this deck, unless this very special card were to come out that was a TCG exclusive. So we're going to activate Pydra to Synchro Shokan. They're now at 4,800 life points to now make. The Chandra is, by the way, negated here. So we'd act like it was negated. And this also is showcasing that if the opponent did have another negate on the activation of your Synchro effect, you could chain link to the other one if the Chandra were not negated from the other effect, all right? Hopefully that's not confusing. And also this card does not miss the timing. So now, the Curry Belt on summon, it's going to target a card in the field and destroy it. So we are going to destroy our own field spell. Activate the Sangan Summoning, but boost. So this is lethal through an impermanence. The only time that they could have really used the impermanence was on the Chandra because we would have summoned from the deck. So they thought they stopped lethal, but they did not. Now, if you did not get impermed, you summon a level 3 from the deck, you make a Bident Dragon, you then make a Transcendent Dragon, and you'll just end up dealing even more damage than this. Now, this is what I believe to be one of the most important combos of the entire deck. This is what you want to learn if you get anything from this video, this is it. We're going to be starting this off with the Pydra, as we also have a Chandra in our hand, setting a Sangan Summoning from the deck to play around a Droll and Lockbird here. We're now going to activate Sangan Summoning to search for a Genroku. Now we're going to discard the Chandra. By discarding the Chandra and searching for the Genroku, this will now trigger in the hand to special summon itself onto the field. Very important because we already used up our normal summon. So activate, special summon Genroku. Now Genroku is going to tribute itself to summon any Tenpai dragon we want from the deck. Come forth into the Fadra. Now Fadra on summon will reborn from the graveyard our Chandra. And now we're going to Synchro Shokan into a Biden Dragon. Notice we're in main phase 1 here. Now the Biden Dragon is going to lock us into dragons only as we reborn the Chandra. Now we're going to synchro with the Fadra and the Biden Dragon to make a Transcendent Dragon. At the moment, they cannot Nibiru, they cannot Veiler, they can't Impermanence, they can't Forbidden Droplet. We are completely unaffected thanks to the Sangan Summoning. And as soon as we enter the battle phase, we go from being unaffected to the opponent now cannot activate anything. They can have full back row monsters. It does not matter where the card is, it cannot activate. So if you can establish a Transcendent Dragon in main phase 1 and inflict lethal damage, that is how you're going to skyrocket through the ranks and defeat everyone. Now, let's go to the battle phase. Chandra at the start of the damage step, summon for the deck of Pydra. Remember, they cannot activate anything. They're at 25,000 life points here, so we're going to deal that much damage as we summon the Pydra. Pydra swing for 17. And now, what did we just do? We attacked 3 times. So the Biden Dragon in the graveyard is now activatable to summon from the grave. Attack for 2,600. Now Pydra, Synchro Shokan with the Biden Dragon into a Trident Dragon. Trident Dragon, activate. Now, in this scenario, we are leaving up the Transcendent Dragon. We're not destroying it like we did in the other combo because we would then lose our protection. The opponent would have a small window within this moment to activate whatever card effect they want. And if it's a dangerous one, we do not want to allow them to do it. So we are going to lose out on 3,000 damage, but if we have lethal damage, then this is the better play to do. So destroy the field spell and the Chandra, trigger the field spell, but boost 6,000, triple attack. And what are they remaining at? They're at 4,200. Lethal attack with the Trident Dragon over 25,000 damage as they can't even affect you in the main phase and they can't activate anything in the battle phase. Now, what does Tenpai Dragon do going first? You'll see a bunch of combo guides online, which is completely okay to show cool combos off, but they are not viable combos. Anything beyond summoning just a Hieratic Seal for your turn 1 is going to massively reduce the power and consistency within your main deck or your extra deck. I wouldn't trust any combo that's beyond summoning Hieratic Seal that messes with the main deck unless it tops a recent tournament. In Japan and in the TCG, this was the main way to do the turn 1 combo. Now, initially on the announcement of Tenpai Dragon, people started cooking, but it all fell through. In the end, we are just ending on Hieratic Seal, and we're going to show you why that's good. All right, it's really not that bad. It's actually really good. I'm clapping a lot of fools going first in the ladder. I'm even choosing to go first for this combo. So Pydra search for Kaiman, Kaiman search for a Chandra, and just like that, we just want 2 dragons on the field. Now that we have 2 dragons on the field, we have a Heavenly Spheres. This is absolutely insane. What's crazy about this is if they impermanent or droplet it, it does not matter. We don't care about the first effect as much as we care about the second effect. The second effect after it tributes itself is to summon a monster from the deck. Now the first effect is also important. It is a form of disruption. It can return a face-up card the opponent controls back to their hand. So let's see that happen. And it also is non-targeting. So they're going to be special summoning a Fenrir. Now in a real duel, do not return a Fenrir. It will just resummon itself back onto the field. But for the purpose of showcasing this combo that we could disrupt and still through a Fenrir being summoned afterward, that we still have a great play. So we're going to activate the Hieratic Seal, tribute itself, return back the Fenrir, trigger the effect of the Hieratic Seal. Now, here's a quick tip if you want to beat Tenpai yourself, because a great way to play this deck is filling yourself to the brim with hand traps. You could activate DD Crow in response to the first activation. So the first activation attributing itself to return a card back, you chainlink to DD Crow, and then the second effect of the Heavenly Spheres will not activate. Now, in the activation right here, if you chain DD Crow, do not do that. It will still be summoning from the deck. So from the deck, we're going to summon a Fadra. Fadra is going to activate, reborn from the graveyard, a Chandra. And now, they're going to resummon the Fenrir. Fenrir, if we activate a monster effect, that could banish one of our monsters. Or on the attack declaration, banish one of our monsters. So how do we play around this? Well, we're now in the battle phase, it's activating. We're going to quick effect synchro. So let's say they had a way to negate the Chandra. I could then chain the Fadra to instead perform the synchro summon. And our monsters right now are indestructible by battle. So we're going to perform our synchro, and you should summon your Fadra in defense. I'm just being cheeky here. Come forth and summon into a Biden Dragon. Now, Biden Dragon's going to activate, reborning from the graveyard, and then we're we're going to be triggering the effect of the Pedra to search our deck for a follow-up play, Sanguine Summoning. That's going to be great. It's going to make us unaffected, and we're going to have big plays. And then we're going to activate the Pedra for the real juice, the real meat. This is it. A Transcendent Dragon. Most decks, this blows them out. It's going to put all their monsters that are in defense into attack position, and they must attack if able, and they can't activate any cards or effects whatsoever during that battle phase. So a full field of monsters that are smaller than 3,000 attack, they're all going to swing in. Oh, but DK, what happens if they're bigger and they attack with at least 3 monsters? Well, you're kind of leading into what we're going to talk about right now, which is after 3 or more attacks have been declared, it does not have to be by you now can reborn your Transcendent Dragon to non-target destroy one of those cards in the field. And if that's not enough, you also have the Bident Dragon, which will also be summonable from the grave. So I would think this is far from a bad turn 1 play. And because we're going to be filled to the brim with a ton of hand traps, we will be backed up likely. We're going to have Heretic Seal with a bunch of hand traps. The computer's not a fool. They have to attack, as I said. So let's go, just like that. And there you go. That is your optimal turn 1. Now I'm going to showcase to you what happens if you get Maxx C. All right, we're going to be activating Maxx C, which will signify the opponent activating Maxx C. We just got Maxx C. What do? So we we activate Pedra, search our deck, set up a Kaiman, and that's it. You end your turn. That's perfectly fine. So let's see what the opponent could do. So ideally, they go to the battle phase, and then we activate Kaiman to search our deck and then special summon a dragon, right? Well, what if they have a Harpy freaking Duster? That's going to wipe out our back row before we're in the battle phase. Now we don't get to special summon the dragon we search. We only get to search a dragon. So let's activate the Kaiman, unfortunately, and let's get searching. The Pedra's making us unaffected from battle damage. We're going to be searching for Genroku. Genroku will trigger when being added to the hand. So by being added, we're going to special summon, and now we're just going to chill like that for a bit. We do have the quick effect to summon a monster from the deck whenever we want. Fenrir is back. Welcome back, Fenrir. On the attack, it's going to activate. We're going to use the Pedra, and then we could optionally, right now, we could Genroku special summon a Chandra from the deck just to get it into the grave. And I'm actually going to do it. Let's do it. Come forth and summon from the deck, Chandra. Now, Chandra does not activate on summon. Only at the start of the damage step will it summon a monster from the deck. So this attack is going to not going to be going through. Also, his effect is not going through. He's right now in a replay animation as we make our Bident Dragon. Bident reborn from the graveyard. It's the same thing as the last replay. We're going to synchro into the Transcendent Dragon, also searching our deck for a follow-up play. Now, all their monsters are in attack position. They also have to attack. And if the Transcendent dies, we could just reborn it from the graveyard within their battle phase. And not even within their battle phase. We could summon it during the end phase after 3 attacks have happened, and then non-target destroy any card in the field. And that's also including the Bident Dragon, non-target destroy a back row card, which again, this could be in the end phase. So triple attack, they end their turn with 2 back row cards. We could reborn the Bident, reborn the Transcendent, and get popping for the next turn to essentially guarantee our lethal damage. Now, what do we do against a Yubel? Yubel is very difficult to deal with, including their field spell. The field spell states that if their Yubel leaves the field, they could summon another Yubel in the field. And if the Yubel gets destroyed by battle or card effect, it summons another Yubel. And then the biggest problem is the Yubel can't be destroyed by battle. So how do we, with 1 card, 1 Pedra, deal with the Yubel without triggering the field spell and not triggering the Yubel? Well, let's get to it. Pedra on summon activate, searching for a Kaiman. Kaiman activate, search our deck for a Chandra. You know, the bread and butter combo here. We keep on doing this. Chandra special summon, and then we go to battle. We are going to Chandra special summon a Fadra. Now the Yubel will activate to inflict effect damage here, not battle damage. We do take 17, hurts a little bit. And now we are going to synchro summon the Pedra and Chandra into a Samurai Destroyer. It's very important to note that you cannot summon the Samurai Destroyer if you activate the effect of Genroku. That will lock you into dragons only. And also, if you activate the effect of Bident Dragon to reborn from the graveyard, you also can't summon your Samurai Destroyer. So by perfectly doing this, we have the Samurai Destroyer. And what's crazy about this card is when it battles an opponent's monster, your opponent cannot activate any cards or effects until the end of the damage step. The monster you're battling is negated, not for that battle, but the entire battle phase. So if you want, you could suicide your Samurai Destroyer into a big monster with a crazy crazy effect, and then after the Samurai Destroyer dies, the monster will still be negated. So let's resolve that. Also, the Fadra at the start of the damage step, reborning the Chandra while we're in the window where they cannot activate anything, and the Yubel dies. So they took battle damage, and they got negated, and they're not activating to summon from the deck. So we are going to swing for 16, 15. I know, it just went in my graveyard. I had to trick the opponent to get a Yubel on their field, all right? We're now going to Synchro Shokan into a Bident Dragon. Let's speed this up. Bident reborn the Pydra. Pydra swing. Bident swing. Pydra activate. Synchro Shokan into a Trident Dragon. We could pop and then swing twice. So how much damage are we having within this combo? We had 50,000 life points at the start of this turn, and then we're going to reborn the Bident Dragon. So almost 20,000 damage after dealing with a Yubel, and only with one card we did it. The opponent has 20,000 life points, and they have a big monster on the field, and all we have is a Chandra. And what you've been seeing is opening up Sang and Summoning, opening up the Pydra. So surely the Chandra is not optimal here, right? Well, let's see how we deal with the big monster while just having Chandra. We're going to normal summon the Chandra, where ideally we special summon it, so that already sucks. We're going to swing in. The Chandra's going to summon a Pydra. Now, we didn't summon a Fadra, so the Chandra is going to die. That's it. Chandra is dead as the Pydra activates. And by the way, they cannot use Ash Blossom here. So if they're sitting with Ash Blossom to activate it on the Chandra or the Pydra, not activatable. They could then use it on the Kaiman though. All right, grab the Kaiman. Chandra is dead. We take no battle damage no matter how big they are thanks to Pydra. Let's activate the Kaiman. Search in our deck for a Fadra, and because we're in the battle phase, what do we get to do? We get to special summon the monster we search or any other monster that is in our hand. So come forth and summon Fadra. Fadra on summon, activate, reborning the Chandra. And now we're going to swing again. Why we keep on swinging? Because we plan on synchroing with those monsters we attacked with just to get the 3 attacks through for the Bident and Transcendent Dragon combo. Now Bident's going to be reborning from the graveyard the Pydra, and again, we're wasting all these attacks. What is going on? The Fadra is making it so we don't get destroyed by battle, so it's very important to activate Fadra here and not the Pedra. The Fadra is no longer going to protect us as we now summon our Transcendent Dragon. Transcendent Dragon, on purpose, we want it to die. It dies, and now we can reborn it from the grave to non-target destroy any card in the field, and we're going to take out that big monster. Wipe it out. Now, what if the monster is unaffected and all that nonsense? That's when you're going to have to do some other combos like the Samurai Destroyer. Now, we're going to use the Bident Dragon, reborn from the graveyard here, and let's see how much damage we could deal. 20,000 life. Let's swing for 3k, 26, 1700. Let's Pydra activate Synchro Shokan into a Trident Dragon. Trident pop the Transcendent, 3,000, 3,000, and there you go. That is the damage we dealt, about 13,000 damage. Now, I have a very special present for all of you. This is a Tenpai Dragon cheat sheet that I tirelessly worked on very little sleep, with no power, no internet, so I had nothing better to do than create this cheat sheet to put in the video. And you can, of course, use this while dueling your opponents to check out what's good. So how do you use this? Let's zoom in a little bit here. There we go. And at the top, it's going to show the core engine, how with one body, one of any of these cards, so if you're going to have the Fadra, you need to discard with the field spell to then reborn it, and then you get popping off. It's going to connect you to every other card. So the Chandra connects to the Fadra and Pydra, the Fadra connects to the Chandra and Pydra, and the Pydra connects to the Fadra and Chandra. And then on the final activation from one of the 3, they will help summon a 4th body. So if any of these 1 cards go undisrupted, you're going to have 4 bodies on the field, not including the extra deck. Now, what about a 5th and 6th body? The way to get a 5th and 6th body is special summoning a Chandra from the hand. So that's not the effect of Chandra summoning from the deck. And then also using either Dora, the field spell, or the Kaiman, you could add the Genroku to then special summon that from the hand. And that's going to be the ways for you to extend onto the field. And now you could use the chart here to see what kind of plays you have. So let's say you get heavily disrupted. You're super duper disrupted. Your Chandra, your Pydra, all that, the Fadra, you either can't get to it or you can't activate them. The best you could do is get 2 bodies to make a Bident Dragon. Well, if you could do that, the Bident Dragon, just by summoning it and not activating it previously, you have enough damage to deal 13,000 damage with no field spell and no Trident pops. Now, if you actually did have a field spell, you could deal 16,000 damage instead. And also, you could take a gander up here. The quick synchro formula is showing that because the Bident is a free summon, an odd amount of bodies is how you're going to perform your equal amount of synchro summons. So your first and second body, that's going to be the tuner and non-tuner. Then your third body is going to pair up with the Bident that summons from the graveyard for free. and then your 4th and 5th body will pair up with each other, which is an odd number because of the Bident Dragon. So now let's move on to the 3rd body combo. Let's say you Tenpai gets destroyed by battle or card effect. So what did we just do? We swung in with our Chundra, so it got destroyed. So while we didn't get disrupted, instead of having 4 bodies, one of the bodies died by battle. So with the 3-body combo, you could deal 23,000 damage with no field spell. Or with the field spell, you can have 29,000 damage instead. Now, what's going on with 4 bodies? 4 bodies means something like a Pydra going completely uninterrupted, which is the 37,000 damage combo that you saw at the start of the video that everyone knows about. That's going to be the play. But that's only A. What about B? What's the other 4-body combo? The other 4-body combo is summoning something like the Samurai Destroyer first. Well, you did see that in the replays as we took out a Yubel. You could summon the Samurai Destroyer or a Q-Bell. Could even summon a Quantum Dragon, which is going to be able to non-target spin back something like a Borolo Dragon. I'll show you that in a bit. And then you go into the Chundra, and then you make the Transcendent Dragon or the Trident Dragon. You're going to deal 16,000 plus damage after a SAM-D, or 21,000 total. So 16,000 if we consider that everything before SAM-D is dealing no damage whatsoever. And if you do have a field spell, 27,000 damage. And then the best combo, the 5-body combo, which, oh my gosh, 5 bodies, where is that all coming from? All it is 2 cards. So an uninterrupted Pydra, according to the chart here, is 4 bodies. And then having a Chundra in the hand is the 5th body. So you're seeing how this works here? So we look at that, the 5-body combo within main phase 1, we summon the Transcendent Dragon. We have access to the Chundra through the effect of Kaiman or the Genroku. So we want to get Chundra here. And then we're going to be able to make something like a Q-Bell if you want to also pop a card. This is optional. You could skip this step if Chundra was discarded by the field spell to search for the Genroku, which that is the combo I showed you. So otherwise, if you didn't have to discard the Chundra, you had something else to discard, you could make something like the Q-Bell to additionally pop. And that's going to turn off cards like, yeah, I know, Gore's, Spirit of Yubel, more importantly in their hand. Any other back row cards will not be activated, as you're also going to be dealing 25,000 plus damage. Now, how should you be building your Tenpai Dragon deck? This is tournament data on how the deck's being played at the moment in Master Duel. So you do want to make sure you keep on checking on masterduelmeta.com. So front page, tier list, it's tier 3 right now, but by the guide is circulating for a bit and more tournaments happen. Tenpai Dragon will be shooting up to tier 1. This is only after 1 tournament. So if we click on Tenpai Dragon, we can see all the recent tournament tops here. These are the tournament topping decks that you would want to be looking at. Now, if you have Pro feature on the website, you can condense all the decks together into one like that. Otherwise, you don't need Pro feature to click on each deck individually to see how they are playing. So again, I cannot stress this enough. This will be updating. This is not going to stay the same way on being the best way to play. So each and every tournament that happens, including the Asian tournaments, community tournaments, they're going to be continually improving on the best way to play this deck. So very quickly, if you want some inspiration on how you should build your Tenpai deck, these are the most recent tournament tops as I'm slowly going through them. I just saw the Quantum, I see the Time Lord. I should be talking about some of these cards here. Very good, very nice. Last one right after this. And let's now talk about cards, tips, and tricks. Now, in addition to the deck type breakdown, we can go on over to the top decks page. And on the top decks page, we can click on Tenpai here, and you could see all the decks that have notes and replays. You definitely should be checking them out, and also just see what kind of spicy cards everyone else is playing. I just saw something spicy here. This is a turn 1 Tenpai deck. I just said this is a meme, right? Well, there's no fault, there's no problem playing something like this in the ladder. In fact, I would be wanting to play something like this because it looks fun. But if you want the most competitive version, would I recommend something like this? I would not. But if you see something spicy, check out their notes. Give me a first, please, bro. Okay. And they also have replays and a YouTube channel you could check out some of their duels from, where it looks like they're searching for Summon Breaker with their Ancient Fairy Dragon. That's quite spicy. Let's talk about a Genroku trick. You have a copy of Pydra in your hand and you already normal summon. With the power of Genroku being in your deck, you could activate the Kaiman within the battle phase to add from your deck the Genroku. Now, by adding the Genroku, you now do not have to summon that Genroku with the Kaiman. You could summon any fire dragon from your hand instead. So you're going to special summon the Pydra that's stuck in your hand, and also you will be triggering the effect of Genroku to summon itself from the hand onto the field. So through one effect of Kaiman, you get to summon 2 bodies on the field. Bestial Magnum Hunt. This card is too good to not use. By banishing a light or dark from either player's graveyard, summoning and activating to search for a dragon in the end phase, what you're going to do during the opponent's turn is search for a Genroku. So by searching for it in the end phase. In your opponent's end phase, special summon the Genroku, then Genroku could special summon from the deck a Pydra, and then Pydra could help set up your next turn, use its hard once per turn search effect, and then you could use it again on your own turn. The Magna Hut also being level 6 means it works well with the Chundra, a level 4 tuner, to help make your main phase 1 Transcendent Dragon, and when you don't have to use a Bident Dragon to summon the Transcendent Dragon, you're not locked into Fire Dragon monsters, so that is a really good way to summon your Transcendent Dragon early. Now this goes without saying, it's already obvious, but some people may not understand how powerful the Transcendent Dragon is, how it could turn off the battle phase and force them to attack. If you're playing the mirror match of Tenpai Dragon and the opponent is going into the battle phase while you have the ability to summon a Transcendent Dragon, you do not wait. You summon this as fast as you can, because if you summon it and the opponent does not summon their own, they're now screwed. All their monsters have to attack into you. They lose out their entire battle phase. So do not get caught with your pants down yourself. Do not be the one where the opponent summons that Transcendent Dragon before you and you're now screwed. So now on the inverse, the opponent has a Hieratic Seal. How do you deal with the Hieratic Seal? Because you know that they want to summon a Transcendent Dragon on your turn. Well, your main goal is going to be to either summon a Meteor Burst Dragon or summon a Transcendent Dragon, so that you could turn off their ability to even be able to synchro within their battle phase. So again, let's flip the tables. Let's say you have in your back row something like an Impermanence or a Droplet. When should you use it in the Tenpai mirror match? You should save it for a Meteor Burst Dragon or a Transcendent Dragon. Now things could get a little hairy if they have a Sengen Summoning. So let's say you have a Hieratic Seal and you have a Sengen Summoning on their side of the field, plus they summon a Transcendent Dragon, and now they're about to enter the battle phase. What do? Well, you're going to want to activate something like your Imperm or Droplet onto the Transcendent Dragon, and probably on the summon of this card, because you may have something like a Fadra on the field in defense at 0 attack, by the way, so you don't want it to be flipped into attack position. But if you can and they don't have the field spell, you're going to be using the Hieratic Seal on Chain Link 2 to your Droplet or your Impermanence, negating their Transcendent Dragon. So now they're not going to have the ability of being able to either change your monsters to attack position, and also will not be able to turn off the battle phase. Now against Meteor Burst Dragon, it's less scary because this does not turn off your battle phase for your spell and trap cards. You are still able to use your Impermanence or your Droplet. Another tip for the mirror is Ghost Ogre. So this goes both ways. The Sengen Summoning, the second effect, is the only time you could then activate Ghost Ogre to destroy the field spell and stop the search, and then turn off the ability of them being unaffected. So you yourself with Sengen Summoning, you have to keep the Ghost Ogre in mind. If you have full combo without Sengen Summoning, it's not a cool trick to try to eat their Ash. You do not want to see if they have that or not. You're going to just not activate it, because instead you're going to eat a Ghost Ogre. The Ogre is going to pop your field spell, and your whole play may go completely down the drain as you get screwed up. Ask yourself always, do I have full play without activating the effect of search? If so, perform that full play instead of activating the search. And then on the inverse, if you have Ogre yourself, then it's a pretty cool card to be using if they use the second effect of Sengen Summoning. From my play testing on the ladder, this card is pretty much never dead. It's always popping off. It is taking out their field spell. Now, if you're going first in the mirror, it's so important that your Heavenly Spheres goes through. So let's flip the tables. How do you stop a Heavenly Sphere summoning from the deck? Well, if you have an Ash Blossom, saving it, or when they make a Hieratic Seal on their turn 1, you would probably be making a big mistake if you Ash their field spell or their Kaiman on the first turn and you only have one Ash. That would be them on purpose baiting out the Ash, eating your Ash. So again, flip the tables. If you are the turn 1 player for Tenpai, you want to eat your opponent's Ash. If they save it for the Hieratic Seal, you are in big trouble, because generally the deck's not playing Call by the Grave. It's very little mount. The majority are not playing it. So you now are smart enough to know to hold your Ash for the Hieratic Seal in the mirror match. So when they summon from the deck, that's not going to happen, but you did not open up Ash Blossom. So now what do? Well, if you have Imperm, it's not going to be good enough, because the Hieratic Seal will still summon from the deck even through an Imperm or even a Forbidden Droplet. But what could be a good card to possibly tech in could be DD Crow. On the first activation of Hieratic Seal, as it tributes itself as a cost, could Chain Link 2 DD Crow to banish the Hieratic Seal. Now you may be thinking, nah, I'm good, I got Magna Hut. No, you're not good. You can't summon the Magna Hut if they have no monsters on their field, which they're not going to have on the activation of the Hieratic Seal. So that's going to be completely dodging the Magna Hut, and DD Crow will pretty much be your only play to use. Now, not only is DD Crow good against Hieratic Seal, stopping it from summoning from the deck, it's also just generally good if the opponent has a field spell up. So if they're set up with a field spell and they're unaffected, you're now waiting waiting with the Deity Crow. Once you Deity Crow, a good Deity Crow could be the Bident Dragon trying to reborn from the graveyard, because what are they trying to do? They're trying to summon a Transcendent Dragon on you. So if Deity Crow could banish their target of the Bident Dragon, stopping the Transcendent summon, you may just win the duel right then and there. Another tip, as I'm looking at my notes here, is if your opponent has a Heavenly Spheres on the field, try to not activate your field spell. Even if you may not have the best play, do not activate the effect to search, because if they have these seals and an ogre, you're giving them an optimal opportunity to have the ogre pop the field spell, and then the seals can now be used on one of your monsters. So ideally, you're forcing the Hieratic Seal to be activated on your Sanguine Summoning. Now, you may be thinking, oh, I'm going to use Sanguine Summoning to bait out the Hieratic Seal. Well, if you get hit by the ogre, then you are super screwed. So put them in a scenario where you, let's say, summon a Pydra, and they're now thinking, well, I can't really use the ogre. I now have to use Imperm plus Chain Hieratic Seal to spin back the field spell back to your hand while they're sitting with an ogre in their hand. Now, another tip for the mirror match is, what if the opponent has a Transcendent Dragon on the field? You survived their turn 2 play. What do you do on turn 3, as there's now a giant 3k body on the field and you can't activate in the battle phase? Well, what I love to do is summon my own Transcendent Dragon. By summoning my own Transcendent Dragon, I could swing into theirs if I control a Fadra. So the Fadra with the continuous effect will make it so our Transcendent Dragon does not get destroyed by battle, and then we put theirs in the graveyard. Our staying on the field will ensure that their in-grave Transcendent Dragon cannot reborn from the grave. So we take out their Transcendent and we keep our own. Now, what if they have their own Fadra? I just had a recent replay with that. Well, a good play to do is within the main phase summon a QE Belt. QE Belt on summon will activate, pop their Fadra, and then make sure you set up your own Fadra plus your Transcendent Dragon, and then go into the battle phase and get clapping. Now, a lot more people will very likely be starting to tech in Dimensional Barrier beyond Labyrinth players. We just saw a Vanquish Soul player in the tournament at top 16 was main decking triple Dimensional Barrier. I know you could think it's pathetic, but if you're getting hit by that, then you're going to be in big trouble. So another card that they're going to be playing is Thrust. So what are you going to do? You're going to hand trap them on their first turn, so they're going to activate Thrust to then set a Dimensional Barrier. So if this really pops off, you need a plan B. And that plan B, we're going to take from Snake Eye Fire King here. We're going to have in our extra deck 1 Promethean, 1 Raging Phoenix, 1 Hida, and then we're going to have 1 Zealantis. So that 4-card package is going to be able to, if we have 3 bodies on the field, so remember the chart, the cheat sheet, 3 bodies, if you can make a Hida steal their Ash Blossom from the graveyard, you can now Zealantis, banish their entire field, and then you have the Raging Phoenix reborning as the Promethean triggers off of their monster being reborn back on the field, and then you have Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am, over 10,000 plus lethal damage with just Link monsters as you're locked out from synchroing because of the Dimensional Barrier. Now, what if they don't have a fire monster in their graveyard? Then you need to have 4 bodies. 4 bodies, you're going to climb into the Promethean reborn from the grave, make the Raging Phoenix, overlay into the Zealantis, and then you're going to banish the field, return it, trigger the effect of Promethean. Promethean, you want to summon it next to your Zealantis to then be able to pop additionally 2 more cards non-targeting, and then also triggering the Raging Phoenix. Wham Bam Thank You Ma'am, you then win the duel. Now you're going first and you already activated Kaiman, and then you activate Pydra afterward, because let's say you're just trying to eat up some disruptions, you see what they have. With your Pydra, you're thinking, okay, well, I already activated Kaiman, it's time to add the field spell. Think again. With the Pydra, it may be best to instead add a second copy of Kaiman with the first one already being in the grave. Now, it does not matter that you already activated this, you're going to set it, because the most powerful ability of the Hieratic Seal is not the spin, it's the ability to summon from the deck. So if the opponent has Deity Crow or Ash Blossom onto the Hieratic Seal, stopping you from summoning from the deck, well, your follow-up play is going to be your Kaiman. So to not lose to an Ash Blossom, you're going to Kaiman on the opponent's turn. If it's outside the battle phase, you're going to be adding again Roku. If it's within the battle phase, you could go straight for the Fadra, summon, reborn the Chandra, and then you're in a good spot. Now, we all know the field spell makes us unaffected from activated effects, but we got some cheating from Yubel. Yubel will change the effect of your monsters, which is not considered affecting the card. So D-Lotus and Phantom of Yubel will both be 2 different ways to deal with your monsters, negating them even with the field spell. But you have a trick up your sleeve, and that is the D-Lotus and Phantom of Yubel, they cannot activate at the start of the damage step. You are able to summon Pydra at the start of the damage step, it will not be negated, the effect will not be changed. If you Chandra at the start of the damage step, if you Fadra at the start of the damage step, start of the damage step is going to be the way to play around these negates. I'm not telling you to do it, but do consider playing a card like Cyber's Quantum Dragon. Now, you think it's a dragon, it's actually a Cyber, so do be careful of being locked into dragons when trying to summon this. It has the start of the damage step effect of non-target spin back a monster that it battles into. So that's great against a card like Borland Dragon. Borland cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects and cannot be targeted by monster effects, so Quantum Dragon is one of the perfect ways to deal with the Borland Dragon. Otherwise, you could Samurai Destroyer, try to suicide into this, or consider playing a card like Goddess. Goddess is not only good for something like Borland, it was actually incredible in the Meta Weekly, because other people are starting to tech in some crazy cards like Fucho. Fucho's unaffected by all other card effects. They made this turn 1, and then it cannot be destroyed by battle. So it's supposed to guarantee another turn so that Tenpai does not win going second. Well, we saw them make a Goddess over the Fucho, and just like that, they were no longer protected. Now you may be thinking, DK, I don't care about Fucho, I'm going to be playing Nightingale. Well, think again, because one of the most popular cards in Tenpai is going to be Forbidden Droplet. So if they Nightingale, you have the Forbidden Droplet ready, wham bam, thank you ma'am, you got them. Or maybe they're playing right into an Impermanence. Now, if you don't have Imperm or Droplet and they successfully resolve the Nightingale, what should you do? Just get ready for the next turn. That's it. They got you, they survived the turn, don't worry about it. There's a super crazy over convoluted combo with Armory Arm that's going to reflect effect damage for lethal damage. It's going to screw up your extra deck. It is not worth it. Now, there's a restriction on Chandra where it cannot summon a Chandra from the deck. Well, instead of directly trying to summon a Chandra from the deck if you need another tuner on the field, there's two options. Of course, you have Fadra, which could then reborn the Chandra from the graveyard, but another one is where the Chandra can more directly summon a second Chandra on the field. That is the Genroku. So I know it seems obvious, but these things may just go over your head or you may not be thinking about it. So Chandra, special summon Genroku, and then Genroku, summon a second copy of Chandra if you really want to be clapping up your opponent with some crazy level 7 synchro plays. You can consider playing Vorp Gate. The Vorp Gate, this is crazy. It is a level 10 and it's not a dragon, so it's going to be quite difficult to summon, but there's a cool trick when trying to summon this, and that is when the Biden Dragon is activating to reborn a monster from the graveyard. If you have a Pydra or a Fadra next to it while it's activating, chain link to their effect to synchro with the Biden Dragon. Before this resolves, you will not be locked into dragons, as you then get to successfully summon the Vorp Gate. And then the Vorp Gate's going to be able to battle against a deck like Yubel, and it will non-target after battling, banish all monsters your opponent controls, but then they take half damage for the rest of the turn. You're likely not going to be lethaling them with this card, but it is a good way, in addition to the Samurai Destroyer, potentially to help banish and deal with the nasty fields. If DD Crow becomes popular, to try to counter your Biden Dragon summoning a Transcendent Dragon, you're going to have to shift on over to be summoning a Meteor Burst Dragon instead. And I will repeat this again for importance and emphasis. Do not miss the timing on your Black Rose Dragon or your Trident Dragon. Do not summon them on Chain Link 2. They do miss the timing. How do you know if a card missed the timing? Well, if we read Black Rose here, it says when this card does something, you get to do something. So it's an optional effect with a when. So if we read something like the QE Bell, it says if something happens, you get to do something. Well, because it says if, it does not miss the timing. You could summon it on Chain Link 2 or higher. This will still activate, but the Black Rose and the Trident are both whens, and they're both optional, so they both will miss the timing. Be careful. Let's say you could feel it. You know your opponent has that Ash, and they're waiting to use it on you. Well, you have a Chandra. So what you're going to do is you're going to summon Chandra, attack, start the damage step, summon a Pydra, not search Kaiman. Do not search the Kaiman because you're going to get ashed. If you activate the Kaiman, you're going to set the field spell. And then from there, you're going to wham bam, thank you ma'am, Pydra and the Chandra into the Biden Dragon and set up so you could go into a Trident Dragon to pop your Sangan Summoning. And that's going to be a great way to lethal your opponent if you know they have Ash Blossom. Now, I think I may have said this earlier, but if not, the Fadra does not have to be destroyed. Sometimes you could just put it into attack position as long as they don't have a Pedra, make it so they take no battle damage. With the Transcendent Dragon, put it into attack, and then wham bam, thank you ma'am them. Now, what if your combo involves them having the Heretic Seal, they didn't summon the Fadra yet, and you're trying to summon a Transcendent Dragon early under, let's say, something like a Sangan Summoning? What should you do? Well, you should probably consider summoning a Meteor Burst Dragon, because once you try to enter the battle phase of the Meteor Burst Dragon, they have to activate Heretic Seal. They have to jump into the Fadra. And then, after they do that, after you threatened it with the Meteor Burst, you then whip out the Transcendent Dragon afterward to get it into attack position to get that lethal damage. Now, to wrap up this video, let's watch a few quick duels. Baguska's making us negated if we activate our effects while in defense and we're stuck in defense. The Sangan Summoning does not protect us from that Baguska. I know we have a Droplet here, but what's going to be a good way to make these plays? Alrighty, we're going to start off with the Sangan Sangan Summoning, try to search our deck here as we successfully grab a Fadra, discarding the Genroku, summon the Fadra, and we're going to use the ability to reborn from the graveyard the Genroku. Now again, we are going to be negated because of that Baguska. So let's use Droplet. Droplet, send the Fadra to the graveyard to negate that Baguska. Thus, we now will go through with the effect. Baguska is negated for the full turn. Now have again Roku, special summon the Chandra, and let's Synchro Shokan this up into Biden Dragon. You could have possibly, if you wanted to, go into something like, let's say, a Black Rose Dragon, but why go into Black Rose when we could just wham bam thank you ma'am them, which is what we're going to do instead. Biden, reborn the Fadra, Shokan into the Transcendent Dragon. This is very important. We have the Sangan Summoning making us unaffected, and then once we enter the battle phase, it's over for them. Let's say they have an Ash Blossom in the hand that they're holding on to. We have the Kaiman, which will be fully protected by the Transcendent Dragon as they can't chain to it. So we are going to, just like that, put them into attack position. Now that we're in battle, it is now time to safely activate that Kaiman. It does not, oh, imperm column, nope, there's nothing. They can't activate. We're going to grab a Chandra, special summon Chandra. Chandra will then special summon from the deck, just like that. Pydra, search, it does not matter. If we didn't have the field spell, we would use Pydra to set the field spell here, and let's lethal this up. Speed it up, take out the Sarah, 3k, reborn the Bident, and what did we just take out there? A Gravedigger Trap Hole, which could have negated the Biden Dragon if they wanted to, but they can't because we have the Transcendent. We're going to leave up the Transcendent as we pop with the Trident Dragon, which will give us double additional attack, so triple attack at 6,000 damage each. Now, what is going on in this duel? We are in big trouble. All of the Makonkos are completely untargetable. We could, of course, use a Droplet here, but how do we make a play without using Forbidden Droplet? I want to pretend like we do not have this card. And with the Double-Edged Sword, any of these Makonkos, any one of them, will be lethal damage. We lose the entire game. So let's find out what we should be doing. We're going to Kaiman on their attack, add a Pydra, as we then special summon another monster, so we don't have to special summon the monster that we add here. We're going to then Fadra, reborn from the graveyard the Chandra, and now we're going to activate on Chainlink 1 to Black Rose Dragon the field. Now the equip cards will protect them from being destroyed, but everything else will still get destroyed. And now they're not going to triple lethal us through their other monsters. We still have a problem. The Hewley is going to be untargetable if they equip a card onto it, which they will, and they're going to reflect battle damage as we will then lose. But, you know, the Pydra will help protect us from that. There you go. Rivalry, equipping very quickly onto the Hewley, so now they're untargetable. And so now what do? We're going to Pydra, activate, grab something like a Kaiman. I'm going to Chandra, special summon, Magna Hut, banish, and now with the Magna Hut, I'm going to be making an early Transcendent Dragon. Transcendent Dragon is here to turn off the battle phase. As the battle phase is now turned off, I could Kaiman, add Fadra, completely safe. They can't activate anything whatsoever. We're not negating, we're just preventing the activation. Chandra is going to swing. We take no damage here because of the Pydra. So we are now going to Chandra, activate the Synchro Shokan into a Samurai Destroyer. If you paid attention to my combo review, I said that Magna Hut was a good way to not lock yourself in a dragon monster. So that's exactly what we identified being a good play to do. Make a Samurai Destroyer here, and then the Samurai Destroyer will make the indestructible, untargetable Hewley into nothing. Take 26, she's dead. We swing into that, takes no damage, doesn't matter. We have so many ways of lethal, as you then Chandra into the Bident, reborn from the grave, attack. We could then Trident Dragon, pop the Transcendent Dragon, reborn the Transcendent Dragon, but we don't even get to that point. And there you have it, my ultimate Tenpai guide. I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, plus like the video, also comment on the video, and do consider stopping by my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Decade, as we're going to have some great tournaments and even upcoming leaks for the next packs coming out within Master Duel. And with that said, let's go.